Hold on to your hats, folks, because this week's global headlines are coming at us faster than a hypersonic missile and hitting harder than a mass-produced Russian drone swarm. We've got actual border wars escalating between Thailand and Cambodia, the incredibly bittersweet news of the Saudi sleeping prince passing after 20 years in a coma, and Donald Trump making waves and threatening tariffs with his take on BRICS and a new $250 visa fee for U.S. travelers. If you thought global politics was just about polite handshakes, well, clearly you haven't seen the news cycle we just witnessed. Grab your coffee or something stronger because we're diving deep into the headlines shaping our world. And trust me, some of them are truly wild. Let's kick things off with a situation that escalated faster than my caffeine addiction on a Monday morning, the Thailand-Cambodia border. For years, these two Southeast Asian neighbors have had their share of historical spats and territorial disputes along their 800-kilometer frontier. Usually it's just a bit of a flare-up, a stern talking to, and then back to business. But not this week, folks. This time it went from zero to full-blown military conflict in a heartbeat. Thailand's acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai even warned it could develop into war, although he stressed it remained limited to clashes for now. Reports confirmed that fierce clashes erupted, with the Royal Cambodian Army reportedly shelling multiple border towns in Thailand using multiple launch rocket systems. And Thailand? They didn't just send a strongly worded letter. Oh no! The Ministry of Defense of Thailand confirmed that F-16 fighter jets of the Royal Thai Air Force carried out multiple precision airstrikes against Cambodian positions. We're talking about scenes from Ubon Ratchathani, Thailand showing widespread destruction. One particularly devastating Cambodian rocket attack on a petrol station in Sisaket province killed 11 civilians and 1 soldier, mostly students in an attached convenience store, and injured 35. Over 100,000 Thais have fled from 4 border provinces and been relocated to temporary shelters. Cambodia in turn has invoked combat readiness, with former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen declaring Cambodia fully prepared for combat and warning of retaliation. The UN Security Council is even set to hold an emergency session at Cambodia's request. This isn't just a minor skirmish, it's a significant escalation, and it's a stark reminder that even within regional blocs like Asian, tensions can boil over in a hurry. The last major combat here was in 2011, leaving 20 dead, so this is definitely a return to serious conflict. Now, from one intense situation to another, let's turn our gaze to the Middle East, where the humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to be a focal point. In a truly alarming development, a joint statement from major news agencies, AFP, AP, BBC News, and Reuters, highlighted the dire situation for journalists on the ground. Their message was stark. We are desperately concerned for our journalists in Gaza, who are increasingly unable to feed themselves and their families. They are now facing the same dire circumstances as those they are covering. They've urged Israeli authorities to allow journalists in and out of Gaza and ensure adequate food supplies reach the people there. This isn't just about reporting. It's about basic human survival for those trying to tell the story. And speaking of strong words regarding the conflict, the UK completely attacked Israel for the genocide in Gaza at the UN and didn't pull any punches, even going so far as to call Jewish settlers terrorists. The British representative stated, "The IDF has killed starving Palestinian civilians trying to get aid. Settler terrorism and talk of imposing the illegal E1 settlement plan are flagrant attempts to prevent a Palestinian state. There is no justification for this. A two-state solution is the only path to peace." This is a significant diplomatic shift, showcasing a much harsher tone from a traditionally close ally, underscoring the growing international pressure on Israel over its conduct in Gaza and the expansion of settlements. The UK also announced an additional £40 million for humanitarian assistance in Gaza this year. In a related yet chilling development, Yonnet reports that a single Iranian missile left about 2,000 Israeli residents of Bat Yam homeless and will likely require the demolition of 27 buildings. This is part of a broader picture, with Yonnet reporting that over 5,110 people have become homeless across various Israeli cities due to Iranian missile attacks since the beginning of the war, with 24 fatalities from direct hits in cities like Rishon LeZion, Petah Tikva, and Haifa. The scale of destruction from these attacks is truly devastating for civilian populations. Shifting gears to the ever-entertaining world of American politics, Donald Trump is back in the headlines, doing what he best does, making bold statements and threatening tariffs. He once again mocked the BRICS group, calling it a little group that's fading out fast. He even claimed nobody showed up at a BRICS meeting the day after he threatened to slap 10% tariffs on any nation aligning with the bloc, which he described as following anti-American policies.
And they had a meeting the following day, and almost nobody showed up. They said, leave me alone.
While BRICS denies being anti-American and continues to develop cross-border payment systems, Trump reiterated his commitment to protecting the U.S. dollar's global reserve status, stating, "If we lost the status of the dollar as the world's reserve currency, it would be like losing a world war." He made these comments while signing the Genius Act into law, which sets up a regulatory framework for payment stablecoins, a move he hailed as cementing American leadership in global finance and cryptocurrency. And if you thought that was all from the Trump playbook, think again. Trump also plans to charge a new $250 visa fee for travelers who want to visit the United States, according to a provision of his administration's recently enacted One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This visa integrity fee applies to most non-immigrant visa applicants, including tourists, business travelers, students, and temporary workers, and will be collected when the visa is issued. This significantly increases the cost of obtaining a visa, especially for families, and applies to nationals of countries not included in the U.S. visa waiver program. So if you're planning a trip to the States, better start saving up, because that beautiful bill might just hit your wallet. Speaking of bills and big spending, Israel's foreign ministry is reportedly funding a tour for 16 MAGA-aligned social media influencers under 30 to counter right-wing criticism of Israel online, according to Haaretz. The initiative aims to boost pro-Israel sentiment among young conservative audiences in the U.S., with plans to bring up to 550 influencers to the country by the end of the year. The report indicates a deal worth 290,000 shekels, $86,000, with Israel 365. A Jewish nonprofit that aims to persuade Christians to support Israel based on biblical principles and rejects a two-state solution. It seems the battle for hearts and minds is now being waged on TikTok and Instagram with a very specific demographic in mind. Now for a truly unique and somber piece of news. Saudi Prince Al-Waleed, known as the Sleeping Prince, has died after 20 years in a coma. This tragic news marks the end of a long and challenging period for the royal family. Prince Al-Waleed bin Khalid bin Talal Al Saud had been in a coma since 2005 following a severe car accident during his studies in London. Despite numerous attempts by doctors and his family to awaken him, he remained unresponsive. His father, Prince Khalid bin Talal, steadfastly refused to remove his life support, always holding out hope for his recovery. This story has captivated many around the world, symbolizing hope and profound family devotion. Meanwhile, over in Ukraine, it seems President Zelensky is facing some heat from his own people. Mass protests against Zelensky's regime have begun in Kyiv, with angry protesters in the capital chanting Zelya Chort, a derogatory term as outrage boils over his move to dismantle Ukraine's anti-corruption agencies. The proposed legal changes would place the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, NABU, and Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SEPO, under the direct authority of the Prosecutor General, who is appointed by the President. Facing pressure from both protesters and the EU, Zelensky has reportedly approved a draft bill that guarantees the freedom of these anti-corruption bodies. It's a critical moment for Ukraine's democratic institutions and its aspirations for EU membership. On a different but equally important note, let's talk about some serious hardware. Türkiye officially unveiled a hypersonic ballistic missile called Tayfun Block 4 this week at the International Defense Industry Fair. Developed by Turkish defense contractor Roketsan, this missile weighs 2,300 kilograms, is 6.5 meters long, and boasts an impressive range of 800 kilometers. This development places Türkiye among a growing number of nations, including Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, that have successfully developed and/or deployed operational hypersonic missile technology. These missiles travel at speeds greater than Mach 5, making them incredibly difficult to detect, track, or intercept. So that's a significant leap in military capability for Ankara. And speaking of military might, Russia has been busy. They've released rare footage of Geran-2 drone mass production plant in Tatarstan, specifically the Alabuga plant. This footage reveals the mass production of tens of thousands of these deadly kamikaze drones designed to attack in relentless swarms, punching through Ukraine's defenses and even outmaneuvering F-16s. These are loitering munitions, modeled after Iran's Shahed 3.6, and Western intelligence believes Russia is vastly expanding its stockpile. The Alabuga complex, reportedly operating under tight security, is suspected to be partly supported by imported components despite sanctions. This marks a shift in Russia's military strategy towards high-volume, low-cost, high-impact aerial warfare. But it's not just drones. Russia's aviation industry is also making strides. Their SJ-10 jet completed its first 9-hour flight using 100% domestically made parts, including the PD-8 engine. This is a major victory in Russia's import substitution strategy, with over 60 foreign components replaced since 2018. The flight covered approximately 6,000 kilometers, demonstrating the technical viability of the aircraft for certification and operational deployment. The PD-8 engine, developed in just 6 years, is a key element in this full replacement of foreign components, aiming for technological independence in a critical industry. And finally, let's end on a note about cultural preservation. China has officially blocked OnlyFans. Officials there claim that the platform represents Western moral decay and immoral and corrupt Western garbage. This move is clearly aligned with China's commitment to protecting its young generation from content deemed harmful or corrupting. By restricting access to such platforms, authorities are reinforcing traditional values and safeguarding the mental and moral well-being of their youth, preventing the erosion of cultural integrity often associated with certain forms of Western digital media. This action underscores China's proactive approach to maintaining a healthy and upright online environment.
And that, my friends, wraps up another whirlwind tour of the world's most captivating, confounding, and occasionally comical news stories. From the serious implications of border conflicts and humanitarian crises to the political theater and technological advancements, it's clear that our planet is never short on headlines. Before you go, if you found this deep dive informative, entertaining, or if it just made you question everything you thought you knew about global affairs, do us a huge favor. Smash that like button, share this video with anyone who needs a good dose of reality and a laugh, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the news. Your support keeps us going, bringing you the stories that matter with a perspective that's uniquely ours. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and try not to get caught in any crossfire.